I just became this really, prolific, voracious student of hormone optimization. And at the same time, I was basically experimenting on myself with peptides and all sorts of other things that at that time were completely underground and nobody knew what they were. And it really gave me this, like, I would say, over the next 10 to 12, 15 years, a mastery of the subject material, which then led me to write my book and to become whatever the hell I am now. When people ask, when my daughters ask me what I do, I say I'm an online gypsy. I just mistakenly have, revenue and income come to me from all corners of the globe. And I also say that I'm my accountant's worst nightmare.
Funny. Yeah, I started taking testosterone shots probably about 10 years ago when I was 40. And it wasn't just, the sexual desire that increases, but it felt like I was probably about 30% smarter. I felt more motivated. I could think better. And just like I said, I felt a heck of a lot smarter. I felt great. And I ran into some issues like the carrier oils causing lumps. And so I tried like the pellets and the creams and different things. But testosterone replacement really was a big time game changer for myself too.
Yeah, and honestly, it is for really everyone. There's minor, call it bumps in the road like you just experienced, but most people look at testosterone or, call it therapeutic testosterone as life altering. They look at their life as pre and before because everything you said is exactly right. I mean, it improves dopamine signaling. It does a lot of really amazing things. And, the cognitive increase that you noticed is usually the first thing. And I tell people that a lot. Unfortunately, our medical system does not treat hormonal deficiencies like it should because it's wholly ignorant of them. You really do, and as you probably found out, you have to go to a specialist who really understands this thing because they don't learn anything about hormones in the standard of care in medical school or anything like that. So almost all doctors that do prescribe hormones have learned, through an experiential body of work and practice. And so it's like you can't just go to a general GP or a family doctor and expect them to be able to hormonally optimize you because they can't.
Well, one thing I learned, if anyone's in a relationship, you do need to talk to both people because if one, let's say, I don't know, you're a couple that is barely having sex and now all of a sudden one of the people is like bugging them every day, it can ruin the relationship. So when I first went to this clinic, I was like, hey, you get the partners in, and they're like, no. I was like, okay. Because again, strained relationships that really cause problems.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, there's no reason that anyone who's aging should, one spouse or one significant other should be on hormones and the other shouldn't. That doesn't really make any sense because you're going to leave the other one behind. I mean, it's a deep conversation and rabbit hole, but, I personally think that anyone, who's 35 or 40 or, even older, should look into hormone optimization because it really is, in my opinion, the fountain of youth. I mean, it keeps people younger. It keeps people virile. It keeps people, if they're obviously focused on living an optimized life, as I call it, it's really the gateway to just longevity.
So let's start with men. What's involved in optimizing their hormones? Is it just testosterone or what else, might they need?
I mean, it's a lot of things, man. Hormone optimization is much more than just using therapeutic testosterone. You have to live what I call a fully optimized life, which is, relatively insulin controlled. Obviously, you have to exercise. You should be doing a combination of resistance training or some form of bone bearing training, along with cardiovascular training to improve the vasculature in the heart as you get older. Like I said, living insulin controlled, so you regulate your carbohydrate consumption so that you're, not having too much body fat or too high of levels of inflammation, which obviously is, crushing because it causes insulin resistance. And then insulin resistance is really, I guess you would call the progenitor for most forms of disease on this planet. So if you do all those things and then you obviously add in therapeutic testosterone, whether you're a man or a woman, there's other stuff you can add to it. Obviously, you can talk about using growth hormone agonist peptides like testosterone, ipamorel, and CJC, or you can use, the real thing itself, which is obviously human growth hormone. And all of these things, have to be dosed in what I consider a micro or surgically precise microdose fashion. But they're very synergistic with one another. So if someone uses therapeutic testosterone, they should probably look into using, like I said, therapeutic growth hormone. If they can't get growth hormone, look into growth hormone agonist peptides. But there's a lot of other things. I mean, obviously, when you do this, you have to get labs. You have to work with a physician that knows what they're doing and knows what labs to pull. And obviously looking at your labs, if you have a deficit or a deficiency, in a specific biomarker, there are supplements and, I guess you would call them ergogens that can enhance or optimize some of the biomarkers if they're lagging.